Aside. Okay. I'll be careful. I'll try not to say anything stupid. That is so exciting, though. I've seen pictures. It looks awesome.
It's really it's
I
going to be
bet.
quite an adjustment.
Oh, it's but in an incredible way. It's going to be awesome. And you guys still have the old building, right?
We're selling now. As of right now.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, we hope. Yeah.
That's exciting. I love it. I knew it was coming soon, but I didn't know when. All right, it is 2:21. I didn't expect this to be a super highly attended class. It's going to be one of those you need to have, but you don't want to need to have it. But it's important. It's important. Come on in. Come on in. Where are y'all from? Oh, wonderful. Very cool. Glad you're here. Very cool. And where are you from again, brother? I'm so sorry.
Vicksburg.
Vicksburg. That's right. And Carrollton. So we have, how far did you guys drive? 12? Okay. I thought Hutchinson was the furthest. They drove 10. See, wow. Oh my goodness. Well, we're glad you're here. There you go. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 12:22, and we are going to stop exactly at 3, maybe before, to leave a little bit of time for questions. But we're going to talk about the stuff that you don't really enjoy talking about, but it's really, really important. Creating a safe environment for our children and for our youth ministries, because this does apply to anybody under 18. All of this applies. This isn't the fun subject. It's not the one that if I had to choose from all the sessions this week, this would be the one that I wouldn't pick. Because when we think about children's ministry training, we want to think about puppets and action songs and telling stories and all the fun stuff. Those are the part that we all enjoy. But effective ministry is built on not only exciting stuff. Brother Ashley was talking today about it takes all the pieces to make it together. We don't get to pick and choose necessarily just the exciting parts. We also have to have the whole package for it to be truly, truly effective. So the policies, the procedures, and the systems that protect our children and protect our church are really, really important. Very important. In fact, one of the clearest signs of maturity in a ministry, in a church, is the willingness to handle these type of things. The willingness to dig into the stuff that every state has its own needs, its own requirements, and you have to figure some of that out yourself. I don't know all the requirements for your state. I know what ours is. But some of that I can tell you across the board what is needed, but there's some stuff that you're just going to have to go check. You just have to check. And with the help of online and even AI and stuff, it'll get you pointed in the right direction, and then you can start asking people to refine it a little bit to get more detail. But we live in a very complicated world, and it's getting more complicated all the time, and none of us want anything bad to happen in our churches. In fact, we think we're the exception to the rule. We hear the scary stories from other people, but it's always somebody else's story. Until it's not, because our church has been the one that was the exception, and we've had stuff happen. But because, thankfully, we had a lot of this in place, we were okay. And so we've had different things that come down the line. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, the severity is going to depend on different places. But just work under the assumption that one day you're going to need what we're talking about today. One day. Let's hope you don't, but let's prepare for the worst or plan for the worst and hope for the best. But I want to say this very clearly, though. The goal of this session is not to scare anybody. That's not why we're here. We had some that were in a session last time similar to this, and they left and they said, man, we're afraid to even have Sunday school. I'm like, oh, man, that's not what we're about. But you have to be able to wade your way through these waters and not be dissuaded and say this is a bad idea because of all the red tape. You have to do both. We're not trying to make you afraid of something you love. We're definitely not trying to talk you out of it. That's why we're having this weekend, because we believe in this. This is my life. I love what we're doing, but it comes with this stuff. This is not meant to take the joy out of what you're doing. In fact, when we follow clear safety practices, it gives you a lot of freedom. You don't have to worry about the ifs and what's coming around the corner because you've already prepared yourself. So that's what we're talking about. The safety policies that matter, protecting our children, protecting ourselves, protecting our churches. They're not optional, they're critical. So that's all the introduction. Don't get freaked out. I promise you it's going to be okay, but this is important. Most of the stuff that we have here comes from church insurance companies, Church West, Brotherhood Mutual. They give us a list of stuff for our church, and so this will be helpful. A good place to start with you is, if your church has insurance, which I'm sure it does, is talk to them first and say, this is what we have. We have bus ministry, we have children's ministry, we have these settings. What do we need to have in place? Because it's in their interest to make sure you have it. They will tell you probably more than you need, but it's a great place to start. Talk to your insurance company and they'll tell you what your specific state requires, not just what I'm going to tell you about. So here are some core safety stuff that every church must have. These are not in any particular order. They're not ranked by importance. They're just a bunch of them. We're going to do the shotgun effect, but at any time, if you have a question about any of this, please stop me and we can go in depth. But first thing you got to have is an annual training for your staff. You have to do this every year, and you have to have it signed that they attended. Ask me how we know, because we had an incident. And they said, did you have a training? We said, yes, we did. They said, okay, was this person there? I said, yes, they were. They said, do you have proof? Well, I mean, they were there. I mean, they said they were there. They said, that's not good enough. We have to have a check-in sheet that they signed to say they were there on this date, and this is the subjects that were taught. Do you have that filed? I said, no, I don't. And so we learned the hard way that you need to have a safety training, and most of what is in that training is what we're about to talk about, is this stuff here. We had ours this year, January 12th. We had everybody in our church attend it if they worked with minors of any kind. That's Bible quizzing. It's kids choir, we have men in training, we have Daughters of Zion. If they work with kids in any capacity under 18, they were required to attend. And if they did not attend, we recorded the session and they had to watch it on video if they were not able to be there in person. Until those things happen, they are not allowed to participate in that activity because it really is that important. So we highly encourage them to be there in person, but stuff happens, not everybody can be. But until they watch the video, and we have a jot form, and I'll talk a little bit about this. And there's other form software that have this. A lot of your church management companies have different forms built in. But it has the video embedded. They watch it, and then they sign off that they attended or that they watched it. And it's actual signature. They sign with their finger on their phone. And that is just as legally binding as any other agreement. And so having that digital signature for us is all we need to have in place. And so that's throughout the year. So if you have someone join in between those trainings, those annual trainings, then we have them just watch the video and then sign off, and they can do scratch their signature. Any of this stuff we're happy to share with you. The training stuff that we did, I'll share you that whole document with you. I'll share you the form that we use. All of this stuff, I'm happy to share that with you. I don't have time to necessarily do that at this moment, but we can afterward. Child supervision. Again, these are just kind of a shotgun. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff. Never, ever leave a child unattended inside the classroom, on the church grounds, or on the playground. And the number one rule in children's ministry, you all know it, but never, ever be alone with the child, ever. And it's just to cover yourself. We're protecting ourselves. We're protecting the church. And have we had that happen? Yes. We have had someone call the police and say, this incident happened at your church with your volunteer with my kid. We've had it happen. Thank God that person had never been alone with that child ever in their life. And there was never a moment that they were alone. And because of that, The police came, they didn't come to the church, but they did their due diligence, and they found out that this is just a parent that was disgruntled, trying to get the church in trouble, and it disappeared because this person had made sure I will never be alone with a child. We got to be careful. That's restrooms. That's in a car. That's anywhere. That's the number one rule. Never put yourself in a position that it's their word against yours. Because even if you're telling the truth, it doesn't matter. Your reputation can still be flushed down the toilet just because someone said something and you can't prove otherwise. We also, this is just something that we do. We have cameras everywhere. I'm not trying to freak you out. But every classroom has a camera. Because it's my word against yours, and I can prove it. I have audio, I have video recording, and I can show you every second of that day. There is no question. Our buses don't necessarily have them inside, so we don't have them all the time, but most of our public settings do have video. We have discipline guidelines that we go through with our church, and everybody has maybe your own version. I'm just going to quickly go through what we tell our people to do. Because this is probably the number one question: how do you deal with discipline when you pick up brand new kids that have never had anyone tell them no in their life? How do you deal with it? So these are guidelines, and there's a lot of gray areas in between these guidelines. I get that. We're just going to go through what we have. So this applies to all children attending our classes, whether they come with their own parent, whether they come on a bus. And the goal of the discipline is correction, not punishment. We're just trying to fix the problem. We want to help every child learn the appropriate behavior. And I'm reading this from our policy that we actually have printed and our teachers all have. To help every child learn appropriate behavior so all the students can participate in a safe environment. Serious infractions, such as fighting, threats, repeated profanity, may require staff to skip steps and move directly to higher levels. Now, we just call these strikes, different strikes. So strike 1, up to strike 5. I know we're not good at baseball either, brother, but we're very forgiving at baseball. 5 strikes, yeah, you're good. But strike 1, we just call it the verbal warning. It's just the one, a gentle, just, hey, take it easy, calm down. It's just the intro. We have a little bit of an issue. They have minor infraction. We have a calm verbal warning. Get down on their level, make eye contact, explain that we don't act like that here. Help understand the correct behavior. If that behavior, though, is significant, such as if they're cursing or they're fighting or they're doing something inappropriate, we may escalate it immediately. The second warning, if we have to give a second verbal warning, at that point, we will clearly let the child understand that another incident will result in them being moved from their current spot, which is usually by friends that they're trying to impress. If it happens again, we're going to separate you. Make that clear. If it happens again, you better do it. Follow through. You have to do what you said. Move the child to a separate part of the room, typically the back of the room. This gives them time to calm down, reset after a short cooling off period. We usually use the 1 minute per age. If it's 5-year-old, 5 minutes, etc. But depending on their behavior, they can return back to that seat or remain separated depending on how that separation went. If it happens again, removal from the classroom. We take them outside. We have a full-time guy that just does security. He's not security in the sense of breaking up fights. He's just there. He's just the guy that's outside in case someone's in the wrong place. Someone wanders out of class and somehow we missed him. That's his job. But he also has a form, another jot form. We love jot form. And they write up incidents. So if it's an incident that gets to this stage, at this point, somebody needs to know. This shouldn't be a teacher-only problem. At this point, I get notified, pastor gets notified, and if it's a bus rider, the bus director gets notified. And by doing, he just fills out the form, the name, this is what happened, and then how he saw how bad it was. Scale of 1 to 10, not that big a deal, up to, hey, this is a big deal. Because sometimes it's not communicated well, and that kid comes back the next week, and they say, why did he come back? Well, you didn't tell me it was a big deal. I thought it was just, you're just passing on some info. So they can tell us that. The next thing is if it happens again after the removal from the classroom, you've tried to talk them down, you take them outside, you've had a conversation, sometimes that's all it takes. You have a kid that's just really acting out, you can remove them from the classroom, talk them down, figure out maybe there's something happened at their home, stuff like that. We don't have time to get into all the nitty-gritty of that, but a lot of times you can just calm, diffuse the situation, and get the kid back into class. That's the ultimate goal. Sometimes, though, it doesn't go well. So at that point, we have to have a conversation with their guardian. If it's a bus rider, our bus captain will do their best to communicate. We all know how that goes. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. We just do the best to communicate. This was a serious problem. We want them to come back. We love them here. We want them here, but this behavior was unacceptable. Depending on how that conversation goes, they may or may not come back next week. We may give them a time off for a week or two, or we have had the unfortunate times that we've had to say you can never come back. And it's not a decision that we make lightly. This is a big deal. We've only done it a handful of times in all the years of running buses, but it happens because sometimes it's just not worth sacrificing all the rest of the kids because that one child is causing that much of a disruption. Even then though, just so you know, we tell the bus captain, try to do a one-on-one with that child. I mean, if there's not a connection there, but if there is a connection, try to do a Bible study, take him out to eat. Can you, I say one-on-one, we just said no one-on-ones. You know what I mean, I don't have to qualify all that. But take that child and don't give up on them. You just can't bring them to Sunday school. You can take them to church if you want, but they're with you the whole time. They're sitting next to you on the pew, and they're your child effectively. They are not under the umbrella of the bus ministry at that point. We do have a suspension policy. Nobody comes back without talking to me and making sure that we have an understanding. Just because they really begged good that week doesn't mean that we say, it's fine. Because there's sometimes big reasons. We've had stuff, I can't even talk about it, was so bad. And we're just like, no, they can never come back, ever. But the bus captain doesn't know exactly what happened. We can't explain it because it's too big a deal. And that child will give them the sob story of, you guys just don't love me anymore. And I'm like, no, you don't know what happened. And I can't tell you, just know that they can't come back. Anyway, sorry, that got on a soapbox because we had a deal. All right. No physical discipline allowed in our church. I have been to a church that allowed spanking. It blew my mind. And it was legal. I could not believe it. We don't do that. Don't do that. No physical discipline at all. No spanking, no hitting, no pinching, no slapping. Surely I don't have to explain all that. But we use verbal direction. We use time away from the activity or from their friends that they may be trying to impress. If a child is getting out of hand physically, again, this is stuff that we have to tell our people. What do you do if a kid is punching somebody? What do you do if they're trying to assault somebody? We can't hit them back. The only thing we can do is restrain them as gently as we can and keep them from hurting themselves or hurting other people. And if it ever gets to that point, that's a serious red flag that we have a major problem that we are not opening up ourselves to anytime soon. Safe bathroom procedures. Never assist a child alone in a restroom. None of our kids are allowed to come unless they're potty trained. That's the agreement when they sign the permission slip, that they can take care of themselves. However, we do have a toddler class. Sometimes parents drop off kids. So when a parent drops off a child to the toddler class, they ask the question, can they take care of themselves should they need to use the restroom? If they say no, they cannot, then we'll say, we have to call you. We want you to be the one dealing with the situation. This is assuming that they're there. Okay, if the parent is there. If they have ridden on the bus, we should have already cleared that up in our permission slip. But sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you have stuff that happens. And so in our toddler class, we have teachers, it's always two that deal with it at once. There is an understanding, you try to contact the parent. This is the problem that we had. I just had a pastor call me and they said, we had a weird one. We had a child that made an accident. She had an accident. And so the teachers were trying to be helpful. They were at the store already, so they went and bought her new clothes and new underclothes and gave them to her. And so she changed and went home in different clothes and nobody contacted mom. And so mom said, where are your, oh my goodness, you're totally changed. And so she freaked out, as a parent might, and contacted the church. I want to know what's going on. And the pastor's blindsided. I don't know what you're talking about. What did happen? So he's trying to figure it out. And it was because people were trying to be helpful. They were. It was all well-meaning. They didn't do it intentionally. But it was a really poor decision because nobody contacted mom. Hey, we have a problem here. We have a solution, but we want you to be involved in the process. So just keep that in mind, because stuff does happen no matter how cute your paperwork looks. You're going to have some stuff you just got to figure out. But always try to use it. Worst case, if you have a question, just start escalating up the chain. Ask somebody who can ask somebody who can ask somebody. Eventually, Brother Wells is going to say, do this. And worst case, he's got to deal with it, not me. No. But seriously, don't make the decision on your own on some things. Just ask people. Ask somebody, not sideways. We always say, if you share a problem sideways, that's gossip. Share it up to someone that actually can deal with it. Toddlers, we do have that exception. Same with comforting. We say, overall, we tell you, try to avoid hugging on kids too much. Not that we don't love these kids, and I don't stiff arm them when they come in for a hug. I'll try to turn it into a side hug, give them a hug, whatever. I just don't want anybody to be able to say anything. But toddlers need that sometimes. You have a toddler that they're losing their mind. What are you going to do? Just let them sit there and cry? So we have a training with the toddler teachers. Yes, you can comfort a child. Yes, you can pick up a child. But you're always meeting the needs of the child, not yourself. That's what it's all about. And if that same child needs extended comfort every single Sunday, we might have an issue that needs to be talked about with parents. So there are those exceptions. Transportation safety. Again, we're going to be moving through a bunch of stuff. Never transport a child alone. 2 adults must always be present. Common sense stuff, but no cell phone used by the driver unless you absolutely need it, and if so, pull over to use it if you have to use it. Protect the driver if possible. We have pretty active buses. We have some crazy buses. And we'll make balloons, they're making swords, they're having sword fights, they're throwing balls. It's wild, but we just tell them, hey, keep it away from the driver. Don't let him be the target. I've been driving and had a kid beat me out the head and shoulders with his balloon sword because it's funny. And I did too. I thought it was funny, but I'm like, hey, I really can't see very well. We probably need to address this. So we just train our workers to try to, as much as possible, leave the driver where he can concentrate on driving. But I am a driver. I love driving our buses. And when I do, though, I make it fun. I make it where it's not just the stoic driver up front that hates kids. Every church has one of those. But you need to enjoy the kids, greet them when they're coming in and off the bus, have fun with them. But there are times that it's only you and the road. That's all that matters. You have to be able to concentrate on that, not on what's happening necessarily behind you. Tell the kids, hand and arms inside the car at all times. They like sticking their heads out the window, and you pass things that could hurt them. So try to have them keep their hands and arms inside all the time. Drivers must be properly licensed. I didn't know I had to say this, but you'd be surprised. You not only need to have a bus license, you need to have a license. There was a church that was having people drive buses without any kind of driver's license. That's crazy. It's fine until until something happens. And then I don't even want to think about what the nightmare would be. So have them properly licensed. Now, every state is different. For us, if it's over a 9-passenger owned by the church, you must be a commercial driver. You have to have at least a Class B license. Or anything over a certain size or that requires air brakes, you have to have a Class B license for our bigger vehicles. But even above 9, you have to be on the church insurance. And so that's just California. It's just what we deal with. But find out. Don't guess. Find out what your state requires and have the proper licensing. And with that said, it's not hard to get. It's not. I was trying to think, man, there's people in our church that need to get the commercial driver's license, but I didn't have my own. But I was picking out other people. Why don't they have it? And then I realized, what am I doing? How am I going to encourage somebody to get something I don't have? And it's not bad. Even in crazy red tape California, you can get it in about a month from start to finish. With all of the things that all the hoops you have to jump through, you can still have your license where you can drive any church vehicle from an 84-passenger bus with air brakes to anything smaller. So it's not that bad if you're motivated. You just have to jump through all the hoops that they have you jump through. Your insurance may require a random drug test. Ours do. So all of our drivers are in a pool and we get pulled randomly. We have to go get drug tested. So far we haven't failed. That's good. So far we've all made it. Yeah. Permission slips. Let's talk about permission slips. If you have a bus, permission slips are your best friend. They're really important. They're really important. Digital ones are fine, just the same way as all these other ones. We only use digital copies unless for whatever reason the parent refuses to sign a digital one. And it's not that they have to do it on their phone. We use it on ours. We'll pull it up. We'll fill it out for them. And all they have to do is put their signature on it. We hit submit. It's done. The cool thing about that is nobody has to turn it into me. I don't have to worry about it being lost. I don't have to make a photocopy. It's all immediately on file. Second they hit submit, it's done. It's the best way to do it. However, we have paper that we have used in the past and it works fine too. You just have to file it properly and be able to find it if something happens. You got to be able to dig it up. So I am going to pull that up real quick just so you have a rough idea of what's on it. And this is just what's required for us. I should have had more ready access to it. I'm sorry, I should have pulled this up earlier. Okay, it's pulling up. So this is pulling up through Jotform. And we have it where you can do one form for up to 6 kids. So a whole family can do it all at once with one signature. Basically, it has the parent, guardian name. It has their address. Of course, their city, state, zip code, which bus route it's on, if you have more than one, their phone number, their email address. Some of this they may not have. So we just collect what we can. First child name, do they have any allergies or medical conditions? Do they have any notes that we need to know about? Just anything that might pop up about a certain child. And then at the end, there's just some check boxes. I am the guardian of the child above, yes or no? Just check it. I give my permission to ride the bus, check it. I understand that my child will be under adult supervision. By signing this permission slip, I release and hold harmless in the Lighthouse Church, its trustees, officers, employees, interns, and other volunteers effectively. And it's a bunch of boilerplate, basically saying I'm not going to hold the church responsible if something were to happen. And we had this is still in here, wow, including but not limited to COVID-19. It's still there. And I authorized the staff or designated medical professionals and or volunteers to administer emergency medical assistance if I cannot be reached. All of that has to be in here. It has a date, and then they have a spot that they can sign their signature. They hit submit, and it's done. It's a one-time thing per child. I never have to get that signature again. I've heard it said that you need it every year, but even our insurance company doesn't make us do that. We just do it one time per child, and it's on record, and we don't ask for it again. So the question we get all the time is, will you tell a kid he can't ride if you don't have one? Yeah, but I'm going to do everything I can to get it signed. Before I tell that kid they can't ride, I'm going to mom. Hey, do you want to sign this real quick? I can text her. Well, she's not at home. Okay, well, let's call her. Let's call her and I'll send her a text. She has the form. She can open it up and sign it. But until I have that, I can't. The reason is there was a church near us, not two, but a couple hours from our church. They picked up a group of kids they knew, and one kid they didn't, because he was with his friends and he jumped on the bus. Parents didn't know it, and they called the police because their child got kidnapped, they thought. They didn't know where he was at. Turns out the police came to the church and are looking for the boy that they think is kidnapped. And they find him happily in Sunday school with all his friends, and everything's fine, except it scared that church so bad they shut down their bus ministry, have never picked up kids since. Because it really put the fear of God into him, which is fine, but just get a signature. We want you to pick up kids. We don't want you to be paralyzed by all this. Just take the little bit of time to get it signed. If there's a kid that really wants to come, I want you to come worse than you want to come, buddy. Whatever we have to do. That bus has to wait for me a few minutes. I'm going to go try to chase down a signature. I want you to come. And anyway, that's I don't know how else to say that. They can't ride without it. Have we ever made an exception? Probably, but don't tell me about it. I don't want to know about it, but you better get it soon. All right. Permission slips. We already talked about all that. Bus safety. We train our bus workers how to use crosswalks. Do we always use them? Supposed to. We tell our workers to. They sign off that I told them to. If they decide that day that the crosswalk is a half mile down there and doesn't make sense to cross it, sometimes they make that decision. We don't tell them ever to do that. Sometimes they do. Sometimes I do. Because it's a wide open road. Nobody's around. There's nobody driving within 100 yards. I'm going to cross the street real quick to get it done. But as far as our training, never cross the street without a crosswalk. We have a standardized pickup and drop-off policy. When we pull up, this is just kind of a good manners thing. We tell our drivers don't honk, go up to the door and ask them to come. Try to talk to the parents if you can. Again, this is not really a requirement. It's just a good thing to do. Try to build a relationship with mom and dad. And then especially dropping off. Never just release them into the complex. It's so easy. You pull up, pull the bus open and let 20 kids go into the apartment and go to the next one. Problem is, mom and dad may not be home. And we know that because we've done it. And we've had to go and back and pick up a child that didn't have mom there because someone notified us that they weren't home. And that's a bad feeling for you. It's a bad feeling for the kid. And it's not a good look with the parent. Now, the parent should have been there. We told them when we were coming back. It's kind of on them, but it's on me because I got to make sure they get back inside the door. And so we have a policy where you have to walk them to the door and make sure that they actually open and go inside. Incidents reports, have those ready in case you have an injury, a complaint, behavioral issue. That's what that guy does outside, our security guy. But we also have access to it on the bus. We've only had it happen once, but we had a boy break his thumb playing football at the church, one of our bus riders. It was no big deal. We had a great relationship with mom and dad, but we had an incident form as well, and she signed it, we signed it. The kid didn't have to sign it, but everybody knew exactly what happened. There were no surprises. I had to go with him to ER to make sure that the boy got taken care of. But without that incident report, there could have been complications. We're going to move through some all incident reports. Make sure you contact the parents same day. There are some incidents, though, that are internal, and there's some that are external. There's some the parents have to be notified about, and there's some stuff like, hey, this kid has been acting up 3 weeks in a row, and I'll write up something like that just so everybody knows, hey, this is an ongoing issue that we need to deal with, but parents don't necessarily get involved in that. So you just have to use judgment on this stuff. I have 8 minutes. Appropriate physical contact. I already mentioned this a little bit. Side hugs, pats on the back, high fives, holding a child's hand for certain things, for safety, attention, whatever. Things we tell our people never ever do. Front-facing hugs, kissing, tickling, extended hugging. Physical affection is always, again, for the benefit of the child, not ourselves. And I know this is stuff that we all just think we know, but there's sometimes you just have to reinforce it. Some of our very good kids, our youth, they just always carrying around kids. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, there's no need for that. No. You can be just as friendly and just show just as much care and love without carrying them around. You do not need to do that. And so through repeated training, that's no longer an issue. Releasing children after service. Now, this is one of those do as I say, not as I do. You're supposed to release the children to their parents and not just as a group. Now, ours is a closed campus on the Sunday school side. However, at the end, we usually, as a group, all those that did not come on the buses, walk them up to the sanctuary and just let them go. Well, the reason I say do as I say, not as I do, is because there was one issue we had where a parent said, whatever you do, the father of these kids cannot be around them. And so if he comes, he is not allowed to be around those kids at all. And so at that point, we had to really be careful. Okay, but you don't always get that notice ahead of time. And so in theory, again, we don't do this, but you're supposed to make sure they get back to the guardian that they came from. Even our check-ins are supposed to be parent bringing them in. Well, the problem is, pastor has kids. And he's like, kids go to Sunday school. And he's busy doing something. What am I going to do? Chase him down? No, you didn't check him in properly. It's some things you just have to say, not exactly by the book, but this is just how we have to operate on some things. This kid's been coming. Their parents have been here for 30 years. I'm okay with this. And so we do have that understanding between members of the church that we will release them back. And unless there's something like a situation that's abnormal, then we'll deal with that. All right. Internet, social media, and phones. Again, this is stuff that we all should know, but no private communication with a minor ever. The key word there is minor. And the key word there is private. No private communication with a minor. That's texting, that's social media, that's DMs, that's anything. You never, ever have a one-on-one with a minor. If we're texting anybody, it's the parents, or if it has to be a child, some of these kids we pick up, they have a cell phone and their parents want us to communicate with them. So it's always a three-way chat. It's going to be me, my wife, and this child or something. So there's always a third person in on these communications where no one can ever say anything. And then we just keep the text. You're always safe. If you're going to call that child, it's best to use a parent's cell phone if you can, or a family line of some kind, although those are falling by the wayside. If you have any emails, CC somebody else on it, so there's somebody in on everything. At least in California, if we take photography and videography of any of the kids we pick up, we have to notify the parents ahead of time. Well, we take pictures of everybody. We just have random people walking around taking pictures. And so on our permission slip, it says, you are allowing us to take pictures of the activities that your kids will be involved in, which may or may not be used for social media. And so it's just part of our permission slip. We put it on there. Your state may not require it, so you may not have to worry about it, but we do have to have that on there. Personal driving waiver. This is a California thing only, but I'm only bringing these exceptions up because there may be variations in your state. If we, as a member of our church, under the umbrella of our church, are bringing someone to a church event, not me bringing a friend to a youth service, but if it's me bringing a child to Sunday school under the umbrella of bus ministry, say our bus breaks down, which happens a shocking amount, at least at our place, and we have to have people in their personal vehicles go pick up kids. Now, we already know it's always two adults, but we have to sign what's called a personal driving waiver to say, I, Phillip Booker, am picking up people for church in my personal vehicle, but if anything were to happen, it goes on my insurance, not the church's. And some people aren't comfortable signing that. I get it. Don't drive your vehicle. But if you are, sign it. And basically what that means is that your personal insurance takes care of it and no one can sue the church because it's not a church vehicle. If something were to happen, it's on your insurance, not the church's. This is another one. We got 3 minutes. We got time to get into this, but this is California only right now, but just be aware that this is going into other states. It's called California AB 506 law. This came into effect in 2022, and it was the biggest change that we had in our children's ministry. It required mandated reporter training for every person working with minors, which is a program put on by the state. You have to watch videos, and then you have to answer questions, and they give you a certification that says they are now a mandated reporter, which means you must report if something were to be discovered by you, whether it's abuse, whether it's whatever. They have a whole level of criteria that you have to, and if you don't, you are a mandated reporter. You are breaking the law by not reporting it. And everybody working with minors has to have that done or you cannot serve. So everybody in our church that works with kids of any kind has to do this. The next one is the DOJ fingerprinting, live scan. Every single person working with kids in California has to be fingerprinted and live scanned. The idea is background checks. Everybody knows background checks. I haven't mentioned them because it's been replaced with live scan. Background checks will tell you if you go in, if you have anything in your history, the church knows about it. But if you do anything in the future, the church has no clue. So that's why you have to do them every year. That's why you're supposed to be doing background checks yearly. Live scan, though, is a constant referral. So if anything pops up on your record of anybody in your church, it instantly notifies one person at the church. And the only person in our church that knows about it is pastor. I get a flag, hey, something was reported. I've never had it, thank God. But if it were to happen, I send it to him and he deals with it. Never had it happen, thankfully. But if it were, it's instantly reported. And so the live scan thing is actually a really cool feature because you know about it instantly. If people in your church ask, will I have a live scan done for the school district or whoever? Well, guess who gets notified if something happens? The school district. Church never knows about it. So that's why every organization has to have one for everybody. And we have a single login with the Department of Justice. I have every single name of any person that's ever done it in our church, and I can see who's done it, who can't. Cool thing is, that's our file cabinet. I know it. In 2 clicks, I can say, oh, yes, they've been live scanned or they haven't. You can be involved or you cannot. The process is quick. Costs about $60. Our church covers it for them, but failure to comply can result in the loss of our church insurance. And of course, you can be, the the state of California, who is normally really rough to work with, this is one subject they've really been good at. They have said, we are not out to get anybody in trouble. We're not trying to check and say, have you been live scanned? We're trying to help you guys get in the program. So if you have a question or something, they're at least the ones we've worked with have been great on getting us over the hurdles. You know, to say, oh, we haven't done it. It's 2024. We want to get in the program, but we don't know how. We should have done it 2 years ago. They want you in the program. They want you involved in it. So they're usually pretty good about helping. It is 3 o'clock. We're almost done. Secure campus. We secure our campus. Nobody can get in or out unless they're on that live scan stuff. Physical body cannot get in. We have someone walking that property that knows if anybody's in there that's not. And that's it. Any questions? It's 3 o'clock.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, as far as picking up the children, you mentioned, say you're picking up a 3-year-old. What is the safety process of them being in the car seat? You gotta have,
Yeah. So if they're that young, usually they're coming with a sibling or an adult. On buses, we don't. On a bus, you don't need a car seat. On a van, you do. And so again, make sure you check all that with your city. I mean, your own state. But for us, we don't need car seats on buses. But it's always a parent with that child. We're not going to let a 3-year-old come by themselves.
right.
Usually they're not potty trained at that point, and so they're not going to be coming. But if they're coming with somebody, again, it's
When you
that
say a
person's
sibling, it has to be over 18, right?
an older sibling. Sometimes we'll let like a younger, like a 4-year-old or something come with, you know, a 15-year-old, as long as they're responsible for him and the parents say it's good and they say they can take care of him and that's their baby, or that's their responsibility, then we'll let them. Yeah. So, and again, there's gray area on, there's a lot of loopholes on all this. If you have a question like that, call your insurance company. Say, hey, what do we do in this situation? We want to do it right. And they will actually really appreciate that phone call because they'll know you're the kind of people we want to insure. Yes, sir.
On the kids that you pick up, like we have instances where the kids bring friends that stay at their house overnight. Do you get a permission slip from the parents of where we pick up at, or
It's from their guardian, whoever's the guardian of that child. So even if they're at their friend's house, I got to contact that kid's guardian and have them sign it through text or whatever.
Okay.
And that's the cool thing about the digital is you don't have to have a physical copy. And so you have that luxury. Now, the question is usually for us is dropping off. They'll say, hey, I want to go to my friend's house. Absolutely not. We're dropping you off where we picked you up unless you can get mom on the phone and she's going to tell me with her voice that it's okay. I don't care if you say you just talked to her, that's not good enough. I have to talk to her. Yeah.
Mandated reporters, do you have one person, like your teachers report?
Yes. So we actually have a mandated reporter internal training. Basically in that yearly event that we have, it says if something were to happen, and it's only happened a handful of times, but it has happened, they usually will come talk to me. And then I'll talk to Pastor. And between the two of us, we'll figure out what's going on. That person generally doesn't do the reporting themselves. They can, and they're actually supposed to, but as long as it gets reported, we've never had an issue because usually I'm the one doing it. Again, I've only had to do it 3 or 4 times in my life, but it's best if it at least goes through the chain first. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we see those forms and things that are?
Yeah. Let me do this. I'll give you my phone number real quick. I'll tell you it. And if you want those, just text me and I will text you the links to what we use. Probably not. Yep, probably not. Did you pause it? Have you ever?
One more question.
Okay. I'll give it to you in just a second. Yeah.
One more question. So you said they only sign it once a year?
Yes. Well, what are we talking about? Permission
About
slips?
Yes, permission.
We only sign it once.
Once ever, okay. So say you're taking the kids to the park, they're doing an activity at the park, how will the parent know?
So we have events, that's only going to and from our church. If we have a special event that requires taking them somewhere else, that'll be a new
That's
form.
separate permission.
That's, for us, it's pretty rare. But if like we take them on an overnight trip to junior camp or something,
Right.
which we do, we take our bus kids on that, that's an entirely different process. Yeah. Are we still recording? Yeah. Okay, well, can we pause the recording for a minute? I don't, or at least just cut the audio or something. I'm just going to give them my phone number. Let's pause it here real quick.
Come on in.
You taking a class in management?
Just gonna grab my backpack.
Aha.
I can't. I thought this was yours. Man, you
No,
got a
sir.
very similar.
Will you grab that door, brother? Or at least partially close it? Appreciate it. All right, we are here for classroom management and discipline, etc. How's everybody doing? Yeah, you guys having a good time so far? Good, good. We got some coming in still. That's good. It's all right. We'll give it a couple seconds. What's been your favorite part so far? Tough questions.
You know, the last one we were just in.
Good. All right. Man, went to start twice. I walked in each time. It's okay. Come on in. All right. Well, my name is Brother Eric Stender. I'm from Huntington, Indiana. I've been doing children's ministry since 2005. It's me at 21 years. Yeah, we're about 20 minutes south of Fort Wayne. So we're in that space. So I'll tell you what Brother Booker says on his podcast. I am not an expert, but I am still learning. I'm doing the best I can. So we all have different kids. We all have different situations. But what works for me, it may not work for you, but I'll tell you what I know and what works for us. I think we can let iron sharpen iron, and we'll both come out a little better, a little sharper. So first, I want to define some terms because I don't define things the same way Google does. I'm supposed to leave this here and stay in one spot, but that's just going to bother me. So sorry, camera guy. Just I'm going to have to move. I got ADHD. Okay, so Google defines a classroom as a room, typically in a school, in which a class of students is taught. Makes sense, right? Pretty standard stuff. I don't do that. My definition is any place where you have an opportunity to influence the mind or heart of someone else. When we think of classroom, we think of a Sunday school class as our classroom, but that's not true. That's not the only place we teach. At least it shouldn't be. It might be the Sunday school bus, the Sunday school van. Might be sitting at a breakfast table across from a kid eating pancakes, and they're literally shoveling it in. That's the only thing they've had all day, or even all week or all weekend. It might be on a front porch and you're doing follow-up on a Saturday, and you're talking to the kids, but you're also talking to mom and dad. That's your classroom. Might be on a backyard when you're playing catch with a kid on a Saturday. We do a lot of weird stuff on Saturdays. I'll spend 45 minutes at one house just to see if they're coming to Sunday school, because I want them to come. I want to influence them. And I got all day Saturday. On a Sunday, I've got 40 to 60 minutes, depending how long the first worship song is. Okay, but on a Saturday, I've got all day. So sometimes my follow-up on Saturday will take an hour. Usually it's about 2 hours. Sometimes it's 4 to 6 hours. And I go out on Saturday knowing it's going to be a little bit. And I'm okay with that. When I started in Sunday school, we used to call it the hit list. And I hated it. I hated the hit list. I hated going up to parents' houses and saying, knock, 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 is your kid coming tomorrow? No, cool. That's why they weren't coming. It wasn't them, it was me. Yeah, I had to change me so I could change them. But sometimes your classroom might be in the middle of the aisle at Walmart. I've had ex-Sunday school kids see me at Walmart, stop me and say, hey, I'm going through this and I have this going on, this is happening, and I just don't know what to do. All right, we're in the middle of the clearance aisle, but I think it's time to pray. And we stand there and we pray out loud in the middle of Walmart in the clearance aisle. Why? Because that's my classroom. Maybe it's at the grocery store. You've got kids running I've had kids run all the way down from the dairy aisle down to the meat aisle where I'm standing. Brother Eric! And they're so excited to see me. And meanwhile, I've never been able to see that parent. And they have no idea who their kid is running up to. It's a weird moment, but oh, I'm just their Sunday school teacher, blah, blah. Hey, good to meet you. I never got to see you on a Saturday. Been to your house 100 times, you're never there. But that's my classroom. It might be standing in the hallway in between classes. It might be just leading some kids from one room to another as you're doing something. What are they doing? They're following you. That's your classroom. Maybe it's kids choir, maybe it's a prayer room. Our kids watch us in the prayer rooms. We currently have two extra twins with us. They're age 2, and they've never been to our church until recently. We picked them. We now foster. They've been with us since December 16th, so not very long. But we go to the church every day to pray, and they've learned to run back and forth in the women's prayer room, and they've learned to fall at an altar and pray. That's our classroom. So, in short, my classroom, your classroom, come on in, it's okay. Your classroom is wherever you are. So I say we have 2 twins. So my wife and I, we have 3 kiddos. Odessa, age 9, Zane, age 3, and Maverick, 7 months. We just had a Sunday school parent go through some stuff. And now, as of December 16th, we have 6 additional kids in our home. That was a rough day. 10 out of 10, do not recommend going from 3 to 9 overnight, okay? But, so I already had like, well, my home is my classroom for my kids. Well, now it's my classroom for extra kids. I don't get a break. I don't get to say, well, I don't have to do anything today. No, every day is my classroom. Every day we're teaching them life skills. Every day we're teaching them the word. And actually, it's really funny. He says, my daughter, she has taught so many Bible studies sitting there eating dinner. She's taught one God. She's taught Adam and Eve. She's taught how God makes time for you if you make time for him. She's taught all of these little Bible studies, all because she's just having conversation. She doesn't know any different. And so what actually happened, I probably should tell the story later, but it's not really in my notes, so we'll just jump ahead. We were in practice for our super church. And I tell our team when we have super church, when it's time for the altar call, we do the final object lesson or whatever it is, the final call to push kids to the front. I want you to rush the altar. Because if you rush the altar, kids will follow you and they will come to the altar. Oh, I gotta go over here. So they'll rush to the altar. So during practice, that's what they did. It's all right, we're gonna have altar call, blah, blah. We're gonna pray through kids through. And so they practiced rushing to the altar. Well, those kids were with us. And they rushed the altar too. Next thing I know, I look down, these two little kids are praying, really praying. So I said, hey guys, they're really praying. It's not practice anymore. We're going to pray. That evening, we prayed 2 of those kids to the Holy Ghost. Because that's our classroom. So I'm a very emotional guy. Sorry, I'm one of those. But you have to treat every moment with your kids as your classroom. It goes far beyond Sunday school. I used to get mad when we'd only have 40 minutes for class or only have 60 minutes for class. Then I realized I have 7 days a week. I can actually contact the parent and be like, hey, I'm going to get coffee, or not really coffee. I'm going to go do whatever. I'm going to the library. Can I pick up your kids, take them with me? Sure, absolutely, come get them. So now when I've got kids jam, or I've got other youth functions, and I've got Sunday night service, or Wednesday night service, basically anytime I can, hey, can I get your kids? Can we get them to come to Sunday school with us, or can they come to church with us? Because I want them to have more time. So I've found ways to make more time in my class, because my class is not just on a Sunday morning. It's every day I have an opportunity to reach somebody. All right, so don't limit your classroom to your classroom. We have lots of opportunities to reach and teach kids the apostolic message. It doesn't have to just be in your class. So now we'll define management. And again, I'm old, but I'm not that old, so I Google things. Google says your management is the process of dealing with or controlling things or people. Well, I don't like that idea. So my definition is the process of dealing with or influencing things or people. My goal is to win souls. I think you're here today because your goal is to win souls. It's not my goal to control my class. It's not. I don't want to control my class. In fact, I want God to take control of my class. I want to influence the kids in my class, whether that be at Walmart or in my classroom or on their front porch. I want them to go wherever God is leading. So if God's moving towards an altar call and it happens to be at Walmart, then I'm going to pray at Walmart. So classroom management for me is creating and keeping an atmosphere where God can move and do whatever God wants to do. I'm just his vessel. If he wants to pour me out over here, pour me out. If he wants to pour me out over there, pour me out. But he can only pour out of me what I've allowed him to pour into me. So that's why we pray. That's why we fast. That's why we come to things like this. Classroom management doesn't start in the classroom. You are your first student. You are the vessel God can use. So are you praying? Are you fasting? Our church requires us to pray at the church 30 minutes a day. Now, when we got these 6 kids, our life is busy and we're at the church every single day. And I thought they're going to hate us. They're going to hate going to the church. God, they're not used to this lifestyle. 4 days in, they're like, "Are we going to church today?" Yes. Awesome. They were so excited. Why? Because we were excited to be at the church. So are you praying? Are you fasting? Are you studying your material? Are you waiting until Saturday night at 9 p.m.? It used to be on Apostolic Sunday School, the website. There's stats that tell you when is the most time people actually visit the site. It used to be Saturday night, 9 p.m. We've gotten better over the last few years. It's now Saturday night, 8 p.m. All right. I think we can do better than that. All right. So are you studying your material? Brother Booker recommends going through your stuff on Monday. We can't, just because of the way our class works. So we take Tuesday after prayer. We're already at the church, and we sit down after prayer and we go through our material. We study. Okay, who's doing what? Who's doing the object lesson? Who's going to do the memory verse? Who's going to do the offering? Who's going to do the dynamic opening? So take time and do that, and then don't just meet on Tuesday and not think about Sunday school again until Sunday or Saturday night, or worse, Sunday morning. Oh yeah, memory verse. I was doing that. What is it again? Quickly go through your notes. Don't do that. We're better than that. We're apostolic. All right. Do you know the kids in your class? I'm not great at this. I'm still working on it. But do you know their names? Do you know the birthdays? Do you know stuff about them? My wife keeps notes. Their favorite candy bars. It's all on her phone. Their favorite color. Their favorite random stuff. She keeps it in color note, an app on her phone. I just keep it in my head. And then, oh, you like stickers, right? Reese's. Got it, Reese's. I do not remember. But know who your kids are. Build a relationship with them. If you can connect with them, then you'll be able to, if you connect with them on a Saturday or connect with them outside of Sunday school, it'll be way easier to connect with them when you're teaching them on a Sunday morning. In fact, things will come to you. You're like, oh yeah, Jimmy's going through X, Y, and Z, and you'll speak to that while you're talking about it. Don't be fake. Your kids know the difference. They know if you're not having fun. And if you're not having fun, they probably aren't either. They know if you're pretending. They really do. They also know if you missed the line in your skit because you got off track or because you didn't read the skit. All right, they know. And as far as skits go, I'm not sure if it's in my notes or not. In the new curriculum, there's lots of skits. There's lots of things you can do. Those are just guidelines. Treat it as a guideline. It's a really funny joke. At Summit, there was a skit that Brother Booker and Brother Bradshaw were supposed to do. It was like 8 total lines back and forth. Probably 2 minutes. They went on for 30 minutes. But it was really, really good. And no one was like, hey, stop. No, it was good. So they just went through it. They came back. They're like, we don't know what that was, but that was, they're checking the script, but it was good. But those are just guidelines. So it's okay to let God lead you somewhere else to do different things. There are definitely tools to help. Our church has recently changed over to Planning Center Online. If you're not using it, it's fantastic. You can customize it to whatever you want. You can make lists for things. There's a gal in our church who wants to send out birthday cards every month to the kids, and I was like, oh, it's a lot of work. And all she does is go into Planning Center, update a list, and push print. It does it all for her. If we get new kids and they go in the database, they go in there, they automatically get added to that list. So you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. For VBS this year, we're going to set up tasks. Never used it before, but it's a tool we can use. So we're going to use it. We're going to assign people tasks to do. But you can do all of that inside of Planning Center. For our super church, we set up who's the puppeteers, who's leading the songs, who's doing the altar call, who's doing whatever, and it's all in Planning Center. It's an incredible resource. It allows you to say, oh, this Sunday I won't be at church. Who can fill in? Here's my list of people. Drop them into place. So, great resource. And then now we'll go into the not as fun stuff. So for our class, we always have 2 teachers in our classrooms. Not every church is that way. We are. I am a male, and I know I am. And a lot of the world doesn't, but I do. And I know that there's a stigma that comes with that, especially if it's a kid running down the aisle from dairy to meat. Ah, brother. Okay. So we always have 2 people in our classroom. If I drop off kids to go to the restroom, I don't go inside. They can wash their hands without me. They don't need me. Okay. But we always have accountability. So be accountable one to another. And sometimes it happens where a Sunday school student will need extra attention. They need extra discipline. Maybe they need talked to outside. It's okay to grab somebody. Hey, I'm going to talk to Jimmy. Can you just stand here while I talk to him? Just to make sure. We now have cameras in our church on all of the hallways. Okay, come here. No, come over here. Make sure we're in front of the camera. And we'll talk. That way if something is ever said, no, we have it on camera. So be accountable. We do this in our classroom. We call it zoning. We do it now without even thinking about it. But it used to be like, no, you have to zone. And basically, we have one person teaching, and we want them to be able to teach, or whatever's going on. We want them to be able to do the memory verse or do whatever the lesson is without having to worry about Susie over here who's going a little crazy, or little Jimmy who's eating the chair. If it doesn't happen in your class, it does happen in mine, okay? I got some weird kids. They're all bus kids, and they're fantastic. But they do some weird stuff sometimes, all right? And that's just the way our class is. Our classrooms are normally, I think it's 80-ish% bus kids, 20% church kids, okay? But we have one person teaching, and the other student, the other co-teacher, whoever's in the class, is sitting with the kids. And they're not just like sitting by Susie, hanging out. No, they're participating. They're raising their hands. And if my teacher calls on me in class, I'm giving her a dumb answer every time. It's funny for me, but it also lets the kids know they can give dumb answers and it's all right. They can give incorrect answers if they don't know the answer, and that's okay. Because sometimes they don't know how many animals did Moses take on the ark. They just don't know. 52? No. But, it's okay. But participate. We make sure they're participating and they're hanging out, but they're also keeping an eye out. Okay, is Jimmy eating the chair? I should probably go stop that. And there's a way to calmly get up, walk over. Jimmy, does it taste like chicken? It does? We shouldn't do that right now. Talk to them. Something else we do is we like to give our kids purpose. We have not created it yet. We are going to try to create it. We're calling it Connected Kids. And we already give kids jobs where we make them line leaders or line counters. We have a little girl at our church. She's always the front of the line, has to be the front of the line. So I can fight that. Like, no, today you're not. Or I can just make that her job. Hey, Mallory, that's your job. You're the line leader today. And in fact, if she's not the front of the line, Mallory, what are you doing? Get up here. because that's her job. And for her, that makes her feel really important. Gives her a purpose. If I'm not at church today, who's going to lead the line? We have door holders, board erasers, chair straighteners, trash collectors. Give them something to do. So we're trying to create something called Connected Kids, where we connect kids to a job, but also to someone in the youth, or to someone who's a little older. I'm really tired of seeing Sunday school kids go to youth and then disappear. Maybe that hasn't happened where you're at, but it does happen where we're at. It's not on purpose, it just happens. So we're creating ways to connect them with the youth before they're youth. That would it makes that transition easier. We don't have it set up yet, but we're working on it. So that's because we don't want to be content. In fact, it's rolling around in my head. I haven't put all the notes to it yet, but I want to be so committed to children's ministry that I ought to be committed. I want to be so committed to what I'm doing that people think I'm crazy, because I am, about those kids, about their soul, about what I'm doing. I want to see them make it to heaven. I don't want to stand before God and be like, I should have done more. I don't want to be that. I want to make sure, no, God, I tried everything. And I will try everything. There are times when we do have to discipline our students. It's not fun, but we have to. But there's a ways to avoid it. We'll get there. Best thing you can do is, I hope our kids are so engaged with the lesson that they don't have time to eat the chair. They don't have time to get distracted with what's going on. They don't have time to do whatever, because our lessons are so engaged and they're not bored. Because that's what happens. If your classes are boring, a good indication of that is Jimmy's eating a chair and Sue's over here going crazy because they're bored. You probably need to do something different. I don't know where it is in my notes, so I'm just going to forget about it. I call it fighting fire with fire. Not too long ago, we had a kid in the back of the room. He has a learning disorder or something going on, and he's literally running ding, 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 back of the church, or back of our classroom, over and over again. He is not stopping. That's definitely a distraction. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll just be bigger. I'll just go louder. I'll just go more crazy with my lesson. I'll go more crazy with whatever it is I'm doing as a skit. Recently, we had something going on where we're doing the Faith Lab lesson in the curriculum book. If you haven't gotten it, it's really good. Little plug. But I was supposed to knock something off of the table. I did. I picked it up, put it back on the table. I knocked it off again. I knocked it off 7 times, to the point where the kids were like, "Stop it!" But it was so much fun. I had fun, they had fun, and we got just really big with our stuff. Now, did anyone notice the kiddo running back and forth in the back of the room? No. And that was a distraction that I could have pointed out and made a distraction and stopped the entire class to take care of one kiddo who I knew is not going to be able to fix. Like, I can't fix him. He's got stuff going on, but I'm glad he's here. He is listening. He is catching on to some of the stuff. Maybe not everything I want, but he is connected. So I let him run. And nobody noticed. None of our, even later on I asked, did you notice so-and-so in the back of the room? No. Good. You weren't supposed to. So fight fire with fire. And I am a big fan of, I'm going to call it controlled chaos. I think controlled chaos is totally fine. Chaos is chaos. That's bad. Uncontrolled chaos is chaos. That's not good. But controlled chaos is fantastic. I love it. We have had teachers or staff walk by our classroom, look in the windows and go, "Oh, what is going on in there?" We're having a great time. Controlled chaos is not chaos. It's all right. Our kids are used to playing video games, are used to doing whatever, and we can't come to a class and expect to lecture them through our Sunday school lesson and think they're going to catch it. They're just not going to. The average attention span used to be twice someone's age. So if your student is 10 years old, they have a 20-minute attention span. If they're 5 years old, they have a 10-minute attention span. That is not true anymore. It's just not. It's about 1 minute for every age, for every year. So if they're 5 years old, they have a 5-minute attention span. So if you're not moving, if you're not doing something different every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, you're losing your kids. That's why in the curriculum we move so fast. And there's the segments aren't meant to last more than like 8 to 10 minutes because they can't. We'll lose our kids. Okay. So again, I got way off my notes. Apologize for that. So if you're trying to follow along the outline, that was not in there. Okay. So discipline, I define discipline as course correction. You were doing this, and we can't do that, so let's course correct. So part of that, especially if you have parents, you probably know, you can't just tell kiddo to, hey, don't be running around. I need you to sit down. You can't just say, don't be running around. What do you want me to do? I want you to sit down. I want to course correct. Don't do this, do this. So course correction. Hey, Sarah and Sally, don't hold hands. Keep your hands to yourself. Makes sense. Pretty simple. Adam and Eve. How did God deal with Adam and Eve when they messed up? Anybody remember? He said, "Did you eat from the tree?" Yeah. Who told you were naked? And to Cain, he said, "Why is thou countenance fallen?" You mad, bro? He didn't come in. God could have came in storming and raging, and he could have dropped the hammer. He could have brought lightning down and destroyed everything. He didn't. He came in and he asked questions. Why are you doing that? What's going on? I used to spend a lot of time in the hallway with one kid in particular. I'd take him to the hallway. He would sit down, and I would sit down on the floor. And we would just sit, both of us against the wall, looking across at nothing, because there's nothing there except a fountain, which is really boring. And I was like, what's going on, man? You doing okay at home? And it always turned out that there was something going on at home, and he just needed an outlet. He just needed to let something go, let something be released. He just needed to talk about it. So if our kids are already fighting dragons, and they are, especially if we do bus ministry, some kids are fighting just to get out the door. They're not fighting to find their shoes. They are, but you don't know, like, that shoe was just used last night to throw at them to get their attention. They're already fighting dragons in their school. They're already fighting dragons at home. Don't be a dragon. They don't need that. Screaming, hey, does not work. They already hear that at home. They're desensitized to it. But that small, still voice God uses with us, we can use with them. We can course correct. We can be gentle. And I have an object lesson I do with balloons where we take a pool noodle and we have the kids race around the sanctuary, around the room, whatever, get that balloon all the way around and come back. And you'll see kids beating that thing, swatting at it, doing all kinds of stuff, trying to get it to go faster, and it just goes this way. They'll beat on it again, it goes this way. Sometimes it goes backwards. And it's really hard to get it all the way down the sanctuary and around and back. But it turns out if you just take the pool noodle and just barely guide it with a gentle touch, you can run around the sanctuary super fast. So sometimes, a lot of times with our kids, it just takes a gentle touch, a gentle guide that says, hey buddy, you were doing this. I need you to do this. Is everything okay? Let's see what's going on. Because they're already fighting dragons, so don't be a dragon. And pick your battles. You can't win every time. You just can't. I couldn't have fought that battle. I couldn't have won. So pick your battles. Our rule for our church, for our class, if it's not disruptive to the class, it's probably not a battle worth fighting. And sometimes I forget that it's not a battle worth fighting because I'm a dude, and I know I'm a dude, and I want to win. I want to win everything. Sometimes I have to go, oh yeah, I'm the dragon. Don't be that guy. It doesn't matter. Fight fire with fire. Talked about that. And then if you're not having fun, again, neither are they. You can avoid a lot of discipline issues in your class if it's just exciting. Don't let your class be boring. If you're not laughing, they're not laughing. And worship, if you're not worshiping, they're probably not worshiping. If a kid comes up to you and says, "Want to run the aisles?" The answer is yes, every time. Even if you're as big as I am, even if you're as out of shape as I am, even if you're exhausted and you haven't gotten any sleep, you run those aisles. Because if you don't do it, you're not going to do it. And I want those kids to do it. I want them to run the aisles. I want them to be apostolic, and we are apostolic. Again, controlled chaos is not chaos. Uncontrolled chaos matters. Rule number 5, I have follow through matters. Do what you say, which sometimes is a bad thing if you say things off the cuff you didn't mean to say. Like, nope, follow through. I tell our kids if I see a phone, it's mine. They don't get cell phones in our class, and they know it. I've had kids bring cell phones. That's my cell phone now. Thank you. I needed a new cell phone. Now I have one. My screen is cracked. Yours is not. Thank you. That's mine. No, I will give it back to their parents when they get off the bus, or I'll let them earn it back somehow. But they know if Brother Eric sees my cell phone, that's his cell phone. I've had headphones come to class. Hey, buddy, you probably shouldn't have those. If I see those again, those are mine. And they know Brother Eric will take my headphones. Brother Eric will take my cell phone. And if they also know Brother Eric is forgetful, and if I don't go back to him and say, Brother Eric, have my cell phone back, I will probably not give it back to them. Okay? But follow through matters. If you threaten to take snack away, take it away. Don't give it back to them unless they've earned it back. And there are definitely ways you can have kids earn it back. And each kid is different. Know your kids. How you handle one kid is not necessarily how you'll handle another kid. With the kid, I would sit outside, talk to him in the hallway, and we get on the floor and we just look at the fountain and get on one-on-one with him. That works for him. He has a cousin, lives in the same house as him. That does not work for him. I have to be much more direct with his cousin. Hey, dude, don't be stupid. What are you doing? What's going on? Stop it. I can be gentle, but I can't be as gentle because he doesn't respond to that. But you won't know that unless you spend time with him. And a lot of times that means spend time with him outside of your class, which is why my classroom is not my classroom. It's everywhere I go, everywhere I see him. But set realistic boundaries and abide by them. If class gets out of hand, because sometimes class does uncontrolled chaos can turn into uncontrolled chaos pretty quickly. There are ways to bring it back to center. We do the thing where it's we say, everybody say Brother Eric, and everyone say Brother Eric. Everyone say Sister Blaze, Sister Blaze. Everyone say Sister Renee, Sister Renee. It gets all their attention on that person, and it works for us. We've also done the if you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. Those things work. Brother Bradshaw does this thing with a flat tire. I don't know what he does, but he does it, and it works for him. But find what works for you and do that. Try different things. We do this this thing to keep. We call it 3 strikes. We don't do it all the time. Now we don't do it very often. We used to have to do it a lot. We had three solo cups was my favorite because I can destroy those in really cool ways. We've done 3 sticks. We've done whatever. But let's say I had 3 solo cups in the front of the class. I let them know, hey, we have a great snack today. We have popsicles, or we have ice cream, or we have leftover cupcakes from the event we didn't do last night. There's leftovers. Those are yours. If at the end of class we have enough solo cups left. But if someone gets rowdy, I'm destroying a solo cup, and I'll smash it. And then by the first one, like, oh, okay. By the second one, it's self-policing. Now I've got Susie telling Jimmy, stop being in the chair, you're destroying the cup, and it works. And then I don't have to fix it. The kids are fixing it because they know if Brother Eric destroys all 3 solo cups, we are not getting snack today, and I want my popsicle. Okay, it works. So we do stuff like that. And again, we're weird. Maybe that's different, but that works for us. So find something. Don't be content with what's going on in your class. Find something that works for you. And then for us, after class, we do it after class, pretty much every class. We will sit and we'll say, okay, how'd class go today? So I'll sit with my co-teacher. So usually it's my wife. My wife has 9 kids. So now it's not my wife, it's somebody else. Sister Blaze. And I'll be like, Sister Blaze, how did class go today? Well, I think the altar call went good, or I think the object lesson went really good, or I don't think this really worked out very well. But we discuss every detail of class to know what worked and what didn't. Because she'll see things I didn't see. I'll see things she didn't see. And every class, we go through it because we want to be better. So evaluate, self-evaluate. I've gone to pastor after super church. I'm like, all right, pastor, how was that? Was it as bad as I thought it was? Oh, no, it was great, blah, blah. That's great. Yes, awesome. Sometimes I've gone to pastor, like, all right, pastor, how was it? And I'm thinking we had a great time. He's like, well, oh, okay. But those are conversations you need to be willing to have with yourself. Be willing to have it with whoever you're teaching with, whoever's in your class. Be willing to have it with your pastor. I've actually asked my pastor every year, said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to evaluate me every single year. Tell me, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Where can I improve? Because you're going to see things as my pastor I am not going to see. And I want to be better. And he said, are you sure you want me to do that? Yes, I want you to do that because I need it. So I'm not sure what time this class gets over. I probably talked really fast. I apologize for that. I used to be a telemarketer, so I got used to talking really, really fast. Are there any questions that I can try to answer something? If not, move on.
One question on bus keys. Okay.
Yes.
When you have them that's they're really aggression kind of thing for like a discipline,
Mhm.
and you just get really aggression discipline
Like they're aggressive?
a little bit, yeah. And it's like, or they're constantly aggravating each other, and it turns into fighting basically. And what's the best way to kind of chill it down? But they're like, well, he did this, or she did this, or they did that. And it's like everybody's pointing fingers kind of a thing.
So I have that now with the foster kids. And I'm not sure if this is a good thing or not. So it's what I currently do with them. Because they tattletale on each other all the time. So now I've said, okay, are you trying to hurt them or save their life? Like, what do you mean? Well, if you're tattling, you're trying to hurt them. Like, you just want to get them in trouble. Or you're trying to save their life. What do you mean? If you're trying to help them, then you don't have to tell me for them not to do it or whatever it is. I'll say, you can go to that person and you can say, hey, Brother Eric said don't do X, Y, and Z. You shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. Or you can tattle, which just means you're trying to get them in trouble. So do you want to save them or hurt them? Now, if you got two kids that are just fighting with each other just for the sake of fighting, for the two that I said are cousins, they cannot be in the same deal. They have to sit on opposite sides of the room. They have to sit at different places. If they try to get close to each other, we have to separate them. It's just how it works. I don't have great answers, but definitely try something and keep trying something until you find something. Yes, ma'am?
I'm looking for a mom with a diaper bag.
Oh.
Yes. Okay.
But that's also a question you might want to, I think at the end of the day, tomorrow there's a panel. There's a lot of the teachers who go through some stuff. They might have a good answer. Anybody else? But I'll bet both those kids want their Sunday school. They want their snack.
That's gym time they like for us. We still have gym time after we do our lessons and everything. We take them home. Like, oh,
Gotcha.
we're not getting
Right?
sit and watch all the other.
And if they don't believe you, you only got to do it once
Oh, yeah.
usually. And they'll believe you.
I wonder what age you taught.
I have taught all the ages. I love 8 through 11. Our class right now is all of them, 3 through 11. My wife is really, really good with toddlers. I am just not. But I've taught everything. But the way our current setup for our church is, our class is everything all in one class. We don't have separate classes. Wish we did. Would love to go back to that. We're just not at a point where we can. Yep.
We do that, but we do, I'm from Jena, so we do like stuff all together, then we go to classroom for lessons. I teach 5 to 6 year olds, but it's kind of like they're just like wore out from doing all the stuff that we do in there. So it's hard to like get their attention, but the only thing that kind of works is the felt board.
The felt board, really? Oh man, if it
They like
works,
the felt board.
if it works though, if it's working, keep doing what's working. So yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So with teenagers and cell phones, how would you handle that?
I can tell you what I do. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. Sorry, Mr. Cameraman. I take their phone. At that point, if they've already been through my class, I don't ask them. They'll be on their phone in the middle of church. Yank. That's Brother Eric's now.
We do the same thing.
Okay.
It's like, I'll tell them, when they come in, have a phone bucket, put your phones in the bucket. If they don't, I give them a sense of, all right, be respectful and put your phone, they know better. I was like, if I see it, I'm taking it. If they won't give it up, because some of them are like, you're not taking my stuff, you know, fine. I was like, well, if I see it, I'm taking it. And then sometimes they'll test me and I'll go and I'll take it from them.
Yep.
And then after that, they put it in the bucket the next time.
Yeah, we don't do a phone bucket. Maybe that's a good idea, but we don't. But I just take it.
Yeah.
But they know if Brother Eric sees it, he's going to take it, and Mom and Dad are going to hear about it. It's going to be a big deal. But that only works because I have a relationship with Mom and Dad too. You know, so sometimes I'm able to talk to Mom and be like, "Listen, so and so really should not have a cell phone in class. I don't care if they have one. If they need to contact you, that's great. They can do that. But they don't need it during church. It can stay in a pocket. It can stay in a purse. It does not need to be in their hand. Even if the kids are like, well, so-and-so is recording. Sweet. What's her name? Oh yeah, it's not theirs. Doesn't matter. So, anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hope you guys learned lots and lots of things. Brother Fishburne. Richard Fishburne.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Do you know if we're meeting back in the sanctuary or everybody's just?
I would think we are, but I don't know.
I think we might be. My phone was on silent, so I didn't.
Oh, it's all good. It's no problem at all.
Did you get it fixed or is it?
We'll fix it tomorrow. Just remind your husband to bring his audio interface tomorrow,
Okay.
and it'll be better. It just, I think